In a small town called Frederick, Colorado, in 2018, the Watts family seemed to be living the perfect American people dream. A two-story home in a quiet neighborhood, a neatly kept yard, and smiles constantly displayed on social media. Shanann Watts, a lively wife and mother, often shared her family's life on Facebook. She appeared deeply in love with her husband, Chris Watts, and devoted to their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste. From the outside, everything looked ideal. Shanann often posted heartwarming family moments, vacations, birthday celebrations, even sweet notes for Chris. Friends and relatives believed they were the picture of happiness. But behind those smiles and carefully curated posts, a dark secret was brewing. Chris, known as quiet and simple, was hiding another life. Cracks in the marriage began to form, though Shanann tried her best to mask them by always showing the bright side. On August 13, 2018, what began as an ordinary day would turn into one of the most shocking family tragedies America had ever seen. Early that morning, Shanann returned from a business trip. A friend dropped her off, and around 2 a.m. she entered her home. But after that, she was never seen again. By midday, concern started to rise. Shanann missed her doctor's appointment, failed to respond to messages, and her children hadn't been seen. Her friends grew alarmed and eventually reported her missing. Police quickly arrived at the Watts home. What they found sent chills down their spines. Shanann, Bella, and Celeste were gone, without a trace. Inside the house, things looked normal. No signs of forced entry or struggle, but small details didn't add up. Shanann's purse, phone, and even her medications all left behind. It was unthinkable that a pregnant mother would just vanish, leaving everything essential. Meanwhile, Chris appeared to cooperate. He stood before local news cameras, calmly speaking about his missing wife and children. But his demeanor struck many as odd, too flat, too detached for a man whose family had disappeared. Neighbors also noticed something strange. One said Chris was acting differently, nervous and talkative, nothing like his usual quiet self. Suspicion deepened when police reviewed surveillance footage from a neighbor's security camera. It showed Chris early that morning, making multiple trips between the house and his truck, loading heavy objects. If his family had simply gone missing, why was he moving things around so frantically? As investigators dug deeper, Chris's double life began to unravel. They discovered he was having an affair with a coworker. Suddenly, a motive began to emerge. Chris wanted a new life, free of responsibility, without his wife and children. Interviews with Chris raised more red flags. His body language was stiff, his words rehearsed. During TV interviews, instead of showing grief, he looked down, fidgeted with his hands, and even managed faint smiles. It didn't match the pain of a desperate father. Detectives tightened the pressure. They compared his statements with evidence. Inconsistencies piled up. And when they confronted him with the neighbor's CCTV footage, Chris's lies became harder to maintain. The police then asked him to take a polygraph test. Confidently, he agreed, but the results were undeniable. He failed completely. That moment shattered his facade. Detectives told him bluntly, "We know you're not telling the truth." Under the crushing weight of evidence and pressure, Chris began to crack. His voice shook, his eyes watered, and he confessed, But his first story twisted the truth. He tried blaming Shanann, claiming she had hurt the children and that he had reacted in anger. But investigators knew better. The evidence pointed squarely at him. As the lies fell apart, the horrifying truth surfaced. That night, after Shanann returned home, Chris decided to end it all. In their bedroom, he attacked Shanann, who was pregnant with their third child. Then, chillingly, he turned to his daughters, Bella and Celeste. In the early morning hours, Chris began covering up his crime. He carried Shanann and the children's bodies, loading them into his work truck. The neighbor's camera had captured it all, Chris shuttling heavy loads to his vehicle. He then drove to a remote oil site owned by his employer. There, he buried Shanann in a shallow grave and, in an act that horrified the world, placed Bella and Celeste's bodies into crude oil tanks. The details stunned investigators and the public alike. Chris Watts, the seemingly devoted father and husband, had meticulously hidden his crimes. When police later searched the oil site, they found everything exactly as Chris had described. Shanann, still carrying their unborn child, in the ground. Bella and Celeste inside the tanks. News of the discovery spread across the nation. People who had once admired Shanann's happy social media posts were devastated. The perfect family image had been nothing more than a mask for unimaginable darkness. In court, Chris faced multiple charges: first-degree murder of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and their unborn son. In November 2018, he pleaded guilty to all counts to avoid the death penalty. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In the courtroom, tears flowed as Shanann's family spoke of her love, her devotion, and the lives stolen too soon. Chris sat silent, emotionless, as his fate was sealed.
The case left a deep scar not only on Shanann's loved ones, but on society itself. How could a seemingly normal man with no history of violence commit such an unspeakable crime against his own family? The Chris Watts case has since become one of the most infamous true crime stories of the modern era. Documentaries, films, and psychological analyses continue to revisit it, searching for answers that may never truly come. And to this day, the case remains a chilling reminder. Sometimes, the darkest monsters hide behind the warmest smiles.